To start with you, the administration has frequently boasted that the Affordable Care Act has somehow answered the issue of job lock for many Americans. But there do seem to be other types of locks that are arguably created by this same legislation. So due to the fear of possibly losing subsidies under the Affordable Care Act, do you think some workers and some families might find themselves locked in certain jobs with fewer hours?
Yeah, lock is not an economic term, but they will find that if they pursue those new opportunities, they'll actually have to pay for it. They'll be working harder and have less to spend. There's no doubt about that.
Right. Especially considering that the Affordable Care Act did not equalize the tax treatment of health benefits. So in that respect, aren't we still arguably hampering economic growth and the general entrepreneurial spirit by locking people into being compensated with health care? In other words, the failure to correct this problem does sort of contribute to that sort of track.
By problem, you mean that there's been kind of an implicit subsidy to employer health insurance through the tax exclusion angle of it? Yeah, you're right that the ACA doesn't really fix that. It makes it worse in some cases. The employer penalty, for example, is pushing more of that stuff that you have argued we have too much of. And then there's other aspects of it that push people out of it. So it's made it a lot more complicated and less efficient, but it hasn't really pushed towards solving it.
Okay. And then, Dr. Sergio, in your written testimony, you talk about what I'll call healthcare lockout. Can you explain how some of your employees are unable to utilize their insurance because they can't afford the deductible after paying the premiums that in many instances are increased? So they have to pay higher premiums. And then, you know, do you have some people who may be foregoing insurance and paying the penalty so they can actually afford their medications and their routine doctor visits?
Yeah, there's a variety of responses I've heard. I know of, and I'm speaking beyond just my company here, because I work with enough other small businesses and as well as insurance individuals who work with other small businesses, but there are people that are foregoing pay increases because then they'll lose their subsidies on the very low end. So, but the majority here, the problem is this. A small business has a certain amount of money they can spend on labor, and you can try to pump some more into that thing to make that a little bit larger percentage, but you spend it on your hourly rates, you spend it on your benefits, you got a total amount of cost there. And what Obamacare has done is pushed more and more of that money that's been budgeted into the benefits side, which then hurts the ability to give somebody increases in their day-to-day compensation, and they can't live on a fixed income like that, and they're working harder and harder. Well, they got now higher premium costs, and then with the additional cost of the deductible, they've got to absorb $3,000 on top of that. So it's a killer trying to find the funding there for them to pay for all of it. So it ends up becoming like a major medical policy that they don't want to really use unless the wheels are falling off on some medical condition. I know of individuals who are to the point now of choosing which 3 pills out of 4 or 5 that they're supposed to be taking for their medical health because they can't afford them all. And you know, this is just something that is really painful to me, because we do care about our employees. We know a lot about their family conditions and that sort of thing, and we want to be working to help them grow. And it's very, very difficult when we've got limited resources now to be able to put towards that. We've been very, very proud of the strong benefit package we've offered our employees. We've paid 50% of our employees insurance as well as all their dependents through all these years. And, you know, it's getting to the point that, you know, I sit down with my partners and we don't know what we're going to do here. And we're going to actually, we feel like we're failing our employees because we can't take care of them well enough.
So you've got the higher administrative costs that Congressman Schweikert pointed out.
Yes, absolutely.
And then a lot of those higher administrative costs then are being borne by individuals who are paying higher premiums. Not only are they paying higher premiums, but they've also got high deductibles. So
Yes.
while that might in some circumstances, while the law might in some circumstances be described by its proponents as driving more people into health insurance, it might actually be limiting their options in terms of actually securing health care.
Yes.
And in some cases, dissuading them from doing so.
And the other aspect of it is the younger folks that are healthier are looking at it and saying, I'm better off just paying the penalty and not getting health insurance at all because I don't really need it. And this is so incredibly expensive, I'm not going to take it. So now they're not covered either. So now they're taking money out of their pocket, sending it to some pool in the government. They're not getting any coverage on that, and it's pulling healthy individuals out of the total pool. So then you have just, you know, older folks like me in there that have higher costs, you know.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.